This is a warning. This is a long video. And this is a video that some people may consider to be a little critical of the black community, the hip hop community, and the martial arts community. I do it out of love though, because I've been in all three and I have, to some degree, all five of these problems I'm going to talk about. So I'm not just talking about y'all, I'm talking about me too. So if you don't like a long video, click away. Have a nice day. Dear Phil from the Advice Show, or anybody else who wonders why, if you're doing anything in the black community, hip hop community, or martial arts community, why are you going to have problems? It's because in these three communities that I've been a part of, we have these same problems. And I have these problems myself, and I got to work to get them out of me. These problems are cash issues, we're suspicious, we're tribalistic, we're xenophilic, and we're sadistic. Cash issues. We have rules in all three of these communities that say that even though money makes the world go round, if you're trying to do something to uplift the community, you're supposed to do it for free. You know, we act like it's more noble to teach martial arts for free, to do community outreach for free, or to perform rap concerts for kids for free. And all that stuff is noble, but yet you expect people who do stuff for free or very little fee to be able to deliver you the same level of quality as people who do it full time and charge a lot of money for what they do. And speaking of which, in all three of these communities, only the chosen ones can charge a lot of money. That means if you don't have a big name, don't nobody want your products in general. In these three communities, if you're not a former champion or something with martial arts, people don't want to buy your DVDs, your books. Black community, hip hop community, if you're not already famous or you're not some well-known activist or pastor, nobody wants to buy your CDs or books. Don't be a rapper trying to sell your mixtape or your CD. If you're not already signed, people don't want to give you a chance. And don't look at me and say, oh, you've never bought those rappers' CDs. Yes, I have. I've been the rapper trying to sell this stuff. When I stopped doing that, I bought money from the rappers trying to sell their stuff. Some of that stuff's pretty good, and you're missing out. And we are very suspicious. Basically, I know black folks, we are suspicious of anybody we don't know. In the martial arts community, we are suspicious of anybody who's not in our style and not in our order. If you didn't come through our approved, preconceived grandmasters or masters, we think that your stuff's probably inferior. Unless we've seen you on television or something like that. And you know, I say I'm bad. I'm so bad with that. I'm not going to say the name of the world-renowned, world-famous grandmaster who has been in Black Belt magazine and been on television. But you know what I did? I still asked my cousin him if I should train with him. I looked at all the good stuff on the internet about the guy, and it wasn't even the bad stuff that's on the internet about the guy. That didn't even sway my opinion either way. I asked my cousin them if I should train with him because, well, they're in black community and martial artists community. So I asked them, and they said, yeah, he's cool. That was it. Makes no sense. But that's what I did. Because that's like I said, we're all guilty of these. We are tribalistic. Martial artists, you know we're tribalistic. This my style is the best traditional versus MMA. Oh, black people. Black people as a whole against the hip hop community. People in the hip hop community against the style, whatever style of rap is not their style of rap they hate. Or wasn't popular when they were young. Or now that they're young, they don't like whatever the old people did, or gangsta versus non-gangsta. And then you've got everybody that doesn't like gay rappers hating gay rappers. Then there's this thing now they're calling it mumble rap. When you're doing something like this, and you're rapping something like this, and you're running. Got a nice beat, but then you got people that want to call that mumble rap. So we have the articulate versus the not as well spoken, even though they got a great beat and energy to it. Because we're tribalistic in my three beloved communities. And a big one is we are xenophilic. You don't know what that is? That means you worship anything that's foreign, that's not from your culture. Now, with Black Americans, a lot of us worship anything that's either from Africa, if we're Afrocentric, or from Europe, if we're Eurocentric. I say that there are people that worship anything that's Caribbean. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're Caribbean. But see, I've seen people that I know are from Georgia trying to act like they Jamaican. You are not Jamaican. Stop wearing those dreads and having that phony accent. I don't even know that many people from the Caribbean that actually wear dreadlocks. It's usually Americans wearing those things. It's ridiculous. And you know how we do it in the martial arts community? We think that the only good instructors are the ones from Asia. There's nothing wrong with the instructors from Asia. They're not the only instructors that are worth learning from. They're not. Your instructor is good based on whether he or she is good or knowledgeable. Some know more than others. It's fine. And just as a sidebar, sometimes I should make this a separate video, but you don't necessarily need the high-level grandmaster to learn at your point of development. You don't. If you don't know how to throw a front kick, why do you need somebody like the guy that does the Quan Kicker channel on YouTube? Why would you need him to tell you how to kick? For Black people, why would you need a Barack Obama to teach you how to read if you can't read? In hip-hop, if you don't know how to spell hip-hop, why do you need KRS-One to come tell you how to rap? Why? Why would you need Queen Latifah to teach you how to hold a microphone if you don't know how to hold a microphone? And and speaking of hip-hop, what we're really bad in terms of things being xenophilic is you have people outside the U.S. think any U.S. hip-hop's good, right? Because that's where it came from, so it's got to be the best. May not be true, but they assume that. Oh, but in hip-hop, though, you got people from D.C., Maryland, Georgia, worshiping New York. I heard a guy, I'm not going to say his name because I don't remember his name. I heard a rapper from Pennsylvania rapping with a New York accent. And I know it was phony because when he stopped rapping, he didn't sound like this, you know what I'm saying? No, he spoke regular, standard English. But when he rapped, he sounded like he was from New York. He didn't even sound like he was from Philly. He sounded like he was from New York. Why? Why are you doing that? But we got that problem. And see, back to Phil from the Advice Show. See, if you were African and saying, I'm going to help the African people worldwide, people probably give you money. If you were from outside of the Black community saying, I want to help Black people, I bet you people will give you money. But any martial artist or whatever race you are, don't look at the Black American mind and think that you're different. You're not. You're not. I bet you, I'm not going to say, there's a guy who's pretty much the foremost pressure point expert that I know of, and he is not Asian. I bet you if I put them both at a table and you had that person versus a person who was Asian, I bet you people, if had the same topics up above, like a sign above their name, I bet you people go right to the Asian guy every time. Guarantee it. How many people would take capoeira from a white person? I'm going to tell you, how many of you would take capoeira lessons from a white person? How many pro-Black people would learn to read hieroglyphics from a white person? How many white people would take accordion lessons from a Black guy? Think about it. Xenophilic, meaning you worship foreign cultures. It's xenophilic, xenophilia. You worship any part of this culture that's not your own, that comes from somewhere else. And now I can say this about the Asian community. There was a period in Japanese history. That's me being, why am I reading all this stuff about Japanese history? Anyway, but there was a period when they felt like, oh, we fell behind the rest of the world. So everything that comes from the foreigners, I think this is the Meiji Restoration period. We fell behind the foreigners, so anything they do is great. Anything that comes from us is bad. Xenophilic. And the last area I want to touch on is sadistic. Yes, we are sadistic. There's definitely some sadism coming out of the hip hop community, hardcore gangster rap. But really, Grave Diggers that was a pretty sadistic rap group. A lot of stuff with Wu-Tang, but Wu-Tang is like a martial arts hip hop blend to me, because a lot of their kung fu references. Come on, Wu-Tang Clan, even in the name. You know, the Ghostface Killer, that's from a kung fu movie. A lot of sadism, you know. You got some of these kids going out here playing a knockout game. That's sadistic pleasure. In the martial arts community, especially when I was younger, there'd be times I want to get in there, I want to mix it up and just want to bang with people, loving that contact, not feeling like I've learned if I don't have minor bruises on me. Feeling like the class was a waste of time if I was not hurting at least a little bit the next day. Now, keep in mind, yeah, you need some pain and some level of contact to learn the martial arts, but that's not the only time you're learning. And you could just be two low-level people flailing around and damaging each other and not really learning how to upgrade your skills. So, you know, got a problem with sadism, sadisticness. You would expect that more from martial artists, of course, because I mean it's about war, and people who are voluntarily doing that, you never know, could be some sadistic tendencies in there, or it's just a necessary evil. So you got to control yourself and guard against that. But you know, people can be sadistic in general because pretty much everybody thinks it's funny when somebody falls down. We do. Everybody thinks it's like the Three Stooges. That's I'm smiling just thinking about the Three Stooges. That is some of the funniest stuff. Old, still funny. Still funny. Pain is funny when it's not you. When it's you, it hurts. But when it's someone else, it's hilarious. And in terms of how all this stuff really relates to Phill, who runs the Advice Show, I spoke about the caste issues. They don't think you should make money because you're not already famous, Phill. And all my three communities were like that. They're suspicious of you, Phill, because they don't know you personally or because you're not famous yet. They're going to be suspicious of you, just like in my beloved communities. They may be tribalistic because you may not be from their little particular subgroup of the subgroups, the groups, the sub of the groups. And I think you're under 40. I think you're under 40, or you just turned 40. Now, where I'm from in the black community, they still call you son. Because I'm in my 40s, I'm still called son. They still call you son. They're not going to pay you any money because they feel like I'm balding and I'm still not considered old and wise enough to get the money to come out of people's pockets for social issues. That's just the way it is. In terms of xenophilia, you're not from a beloved, exotic place. If you are African, you're not perceived as African. So the Afrocentric xenophiles are not going to cling to you. You're not European, so the Eurocentric xenophiles are not going to cling to you. And we do the same thing in all three of my beloved communities. And in sadism, the trolls. What are trolls? Trolls are sadistic people who take sadistic pleasure and cause sadistic trouble on the internet. So this Venn diagram intersection right here, my beloved communities, we got these issues. One thing about cash issues that I want to go over is that in these three communities, actually a lot of people don't have a lot of money. The average martial artist doesn't make a lot of money, at least not off of martial arts. That's why it's an avocation for a lot of us. They don't have a lot of money to spend on products and things. They don't. You're going to have to find a way to get the pricing down to where if you want to make money off it, where people can pay for it. And I know what you're giving is worth a lot. But you know, I have not met very many rich hip hoppers or rich African Americans. Not that there aren't any, there are some. And rich martial artists, there are some. But the run-of-the-mill person, even the people that are doing community outreach a lot of times, it's an avocation of theirs. They're doing it for the love of the activity, for the love of whatever their community is. A lot of people do hip-hop part-time for a love of the art. And people teach martial arts for the love of the art because they want to see it keep going. But they tend to not make a lot of money just doing that thing. Because unfortunately, we live in a fallen world, and whatever is pure and whatever is lovely, people don't want to pay you for it. I'm going to look that verse up real quick before I end this video. That's a Bible verse. Let me search for that on my phone. Let's see. Finally, beloved, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely. Okay, here we go. Philippians 4, 8 through 9. Verses 8 through 9. I'm going to read it right here, and then I'm going to add my part at the end. Finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Keep on doing the things that you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, and the God of peace will be with you. Yes, God will be with you. But the people in this world, it says God will be with you, but the people of this world may not be with you because they want to spend their money on something else. A lot of people just don't have the money, or because of all these reasons I got up on the screen here, they don't trust you. They don't know you. They're going to hold on to their cash and be suspicious and tribalistic, and you're not exotic enough for them, and then they're going to laugh at you sadistically. The only solution I got, for real, seriously, is to do it anyway because you know it's the right thing. Because if you're doing right, it's like it says right here in this Bible verse, the God of peace will be with you. And to that, I say to anybody who stuck it out this long in this video, I say peace and thank you.